December 15, 1879, the Montreal Daily Witness, Montreal, Canada. Miscellany, Christmas Gifts for Gentlemen. We have been asked to suggest some pretty suitable present for a gentleman who has dressing gown, slippers, rings, and etc. Well, how would a footrest do? Or a scrap basket for his waste papers? Or a holder for his whisk broom? Unless you have an amateur workman in the family, you will have to buy the frame for your footrest. We have a beautiful one of ebonized wood, ornamented with gilt lines and inlaid with colored woods, which was made by one of our boys for his mother, but all are not so fortunate. Very pretty ones, however, can be bought at reasonable prices. About all that you can do will be to work the cover of the cushion. This you can do in cross-stitch embroidery, on canvas or crash, or you can applique figures cut from cretonne upon Turkish toweling, ecru linen, silk or satin. Black satin is pretty and serviceable. A cover looks well made of silk patchwork. These last, however, are not so serviceable as the cross-stitch embroidery on canvas. Be careful not to make it too fine. If your husband does not feel perfectly free to use it on all occasions, it will be no comfort to him to have it. Scrap baskets come in all shapes and sizes: square, round, half round with straight back and rounding front, and three-sided to fit into corners. After you have selected one to suit, you can ornament it, if you like, by passing bright colored ribbons through the interstices between the willows which stand lengthwise of the basket, finishing them all at one side, which must be at the front. The joinings may be hidden under a bunch of loops and ends of ribbon, mixed in with artificial flowers and dried grasses. Black and old gold-colored satin ribbons are very pretty with deep red rosebuds. A pleating of ribbon finishes off the top of the basket, which may be lined or not as preferred, and a handsome bow and ends is placed at each handle. Strips of pinked flannel or cashmere will do to put in and out around the basket, and the pleating at the top may be of the same pinked or fringed out, thus requiring less ribbon. Sometimes the basket is entirely covered with a wide strip of crash, momi cloth, velvet, satin, or several of these in combination. As in everything else, you can expend a good deal of time and money on such articles, or you can make very good effects with simple materials and slight expense. A cover for a whisk broom is a very useful gift, and will be a comfort to yourself as well, for the article referred to is not a comely object, and always seems out of place lying on the bureau, where most men persist in leaving it. This ornamental receptacle will look well hanging on the wall in a convenient position. It can be made of Japanese cuff, or of flannel, Java canvas, or linen, cut to the shape of the broom, large at the bottom and small at the top for the handle. The flannel designs which come for application are suitable for the decoration. Then, with a pleating of ribbon, or pinked-colored flannel, or of worsted braid, it will be both ornamental and useful. Hang it done with the wide part up. Put the brush in it with the handle down. The opening at the bottom should be small enough to keep the brush from dropping to the floor, but large enough to permit it being easily pulled through when it is needed. Christian Intelligencer. December 23, 1891, Spokane Daily Chronicle, Spokane Falls, Washington. Christmas Cameos. In Scotland, Hansel is equivalent to the English Christmas box and is a present of money to children or servants. A most beautiful and unique custom was introduced on the continent early in the 17th century, and for a great many years was very popular, but gradually fell into disuse. It was the giving of a Christmas spoon to the children or ladies of the household. Some of these old souvenirs are exquisite specimens of the silversmith's art, rare in design and beautiful in finish. It must have been a delightful custom and is certainly well worthy of revival. Each spoon would come to have an historic value outside of the pleasure of the gift, in the quality of someday figuring, as time flies by, as an extremely prized heirloom. December 17, 1900. The Evening Argus, Owasso, Michigan. The Yuletide Cigar. Wives whose husbands smoke are again reminded, in view of the approach of Christmas, that the man who smokes intelligently would rather receive one cigar costing 25 cents than 100 costing 50 cents. We sound this note of warning merely in the interests of peace and goodwill. December 17, 1900. The Evening Argus, Owasso, Michigan. Christmas toys. The great toy center of the world is Bavaria. From the towns of Nuremberg, Fürth, and Sonnenberg come 9/10 of the toys made in Europe. The famous French doll is made in Nuremberg, as are also many fine mechanical contrivances, such as walking dogs and cats and other animals with natural fur, which, according to popular supposition, are the direct output of the French capital. They are a picturesque people, these toy makers. Whole families and colonies of them are engaged in toy making. A father makes doll heads, for instance, and the other members of the family paint the features, affix the wig, and assemble the parts of the body. The decorative painting on toy chinaware, wooden toys, and blown glass Christmas tree ornaments is done almost exclusively by children. December 20, 1911. The Pittsburgh Press. Of interest to women. Design for colored linen bag, a Christmas gift suggestion. The girl or matron who has nimble fingers and likes to sew may make linen bags for Christmas gifts. These little receptacles are useful for many things. They may hold fresh handkerchiefs or soiled ones. Clean linen collars and cuffs may be tucked away in them, and they make attractive work bags, whether for plain or fancy sewing. Colored linen makes a pretty bag. After shaping, sew it together on the edges. Trace the accompanying design, either on the bag itself or on thin tissue paper. If the latter, it is basted to the bag and torn away as soon as the linen is outlined. The heavy lines in the cut indicate the outline. It is suggested that the flower be worked in pink, with a dull gold center, the leaves brown, and the border green. After outlining each part, darn it back and forth with thread of the same color as the outline. Buttonhole the eyelets for the drawstring, using, if possible, a cord of the same color as that used in the bag itself. To transfer this design, clip it from the newspaper and hold it against the window pane with the cloth over the clipping. The light will bring out the design underneath so that you can trace it with a pencil on the cloth. Or, if you prefer, place your cloth on a smooth table, then a sheet of carbon paper and the clipping on top. Trace the lines of the drawing paper with a pencil with a blunt point. Carbon paper can be bought at any stationery store for a few cents a sheet.